for chapter 2.2, page 82, I'm gonna do number 7. And it asks you to writing related statements. For the given statements, write the if then form. So I'm just gonna label it. So this is the if then form right here. If P then Q. So I'm gonna label this A, B, C, and D. If then form, the converse, the inverse, and the contrapositive. A is the if then form, B is the converse, C is the inverse, and D is the contrapositive. Let's start with A. Well, first you need to figure out which one's the P and which one's the Q. So this is P and this is Q. So P is if two angles are complementary, two angles are comp, I'll just put comp for short. Q is it adds up to 90 degrees. Adds up to 90 degrees. So add to 90 degrees. Now you know your P and you know your Q. So now let's start to do. So let's start with A. It asks for just put this in if then statement. So this will be if P then Q. If P then Q. So you're gonna do if two angles are comp, then so I'm gonna do this in red. Then both add to 90 degrees. All right, now let's do B, the converse. So the converse, so that's part A, part B. The converse is where you switch the order. Now it's if Q then P. So I'm gonna start with the red. Q then P. So I'm gonna start with the red first. If two angles add to 90 degrees, two angles add to 90 degrees, and then I'm gonna do the P. If two angles add to 90 degrees, then two angles are comp. Then both are complementary or complementary. I'll just put comp. Let's do part C now. Part C, it's not P and not go to not Q. So I'm gonna go for I'm gonna write not P. If not P, then not Q. Well, P is two angles are complementary. Now, if you want to do the not part, you want to say if two angles are not complementary. So let's put that in blue. If two angles are not, so that's the key right here, not comp, then, and then you can put that in red. So the Q you can put, then they both do not add to 9 degrees. Both do not add to 90 degrees. Now part D. Now part D, you're going to do not Q. If not Q, then not P. So let's start with not Q. Here's Q right here, and you want to do not, so it's if two angles are not 90 degrees. So you go two angles are not 90 degrees. So if two angles are not 90 degrees, then both are not complementary. So that's how you would do these problems number 8, number 9, and number 10.